Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's October 6th, and today we're going to talk about peppers. Now, I'm out here in the garden today. It's a Friday, and we normally do our harvesting. And as you can see, I'm throwing a lot of peppers on the ground. Now, we only harvest once a week, so we do lose a few for different things. But what I want to talk about is selecting peppers and the colors. And let's zoom out a little bit. Okay, this one here, you can see that it's changing colors. Now, these are Hatch green chilies, and peppers, most peppers start out green. Some start out yellow, but most peppers start out green. And then they change as they come around. Now, this is starting to turn, I would say, a chocolate color. And this is still a good pepper. There's nothing wrong with it. Of course, we might want a nice green one if we're dealing with Hatch green chilies. But when you start knowing about peppers and you start deciding what you like, you might change your mind about the color of the pepper. Now, some of these, if I don't particularly like the way it looks, when it's changing, if it doesn't seem shiny. Now, these are wet this morning, so they're going to look shiny. But if they look kind of dull, I don't take them to market. Now, I picked quite a few, and I've picked some red ones, but a lot of them I've culled them out. As they change, and I kind of look for little spots that they might be deteriorating, and I try to educate people at the farmers market on these peppers as far as so they know what they look for, because a lot of times people will say, oh, I can't ever find a hot one, or maybe the pepper's too hot. And there's an easy way to determine this. Now, this channel's all about simplifying gardening. Now, I do occasionally, and I guess I better rant a little bit. I have one particular person that comes on and they want to do a negative comment because they say, I'm just trying to do videos to get views. And that is true. I'm trying to do videos to get views. And we'll pull up this lemon. We can see we've got a few decent ones here. But that's only part of it, because it takes a lot of time out of the day to start doing a video. And some videos, if you followed my channel, you know they're experimental. So if someone comes on to a video and it's one of these experimental ones and they want to inject a bunch of other knowledge, they can't do it in a positive way. I don't know if they just have a miserable life or what. They want to be negative in their comments. Well, there's a lot of different types of this, and you're just doing this to get views. You're not giving information. I only give a certain amount of information because I like people to gain a little knowledge, get some encouragement to grow, and then start from there. It's like raising a child, and I'm not saying that y'all are children, but it's like raising a child. If you do everything for that child, they're not going to be able to do it on their own. And if you're going to be a gardener, you're going to have to learn things on your own. You can't say, well, how often do I water? Well, that's something that there's no way that anybody's going to know how often that you need to water, because they don't know how your soil retains water and such as that. So you have to learn something. Now, if they ask, how do I know how often to water? That's a totally different question. It's a question that makes sense to wonder, and then you may want to give them some information so that they'll learn. But on these peppers, now we're going to pull this one off, for example. Now, this pepper here, which it does have a spot there, which is easy to see, but it's got little specks. Now, we have leaf foot bugs that run around here, and they tend to pick on certain ones, and they sting them all up. A lot of people would take that to market. We don't do that. That's, you can see them better here, how it's light places in the midst there. We don't want to bring that to market. It's edible. Yes, it's edible, but you want good produce, and we like to bring the best whenever we start harvesting. So we do cull out a lot of our stuff, as you can see. I'm not going to say I do out 50%, but I do cull out a lot of peppers, and I don't do them for size. This one's small, and it's got a little age on it, and this would be a good example. Let's dry it off a little. But you can see a little veining and stuff that's going on into this. Once these peppers start changing colors from green, whether they're going to chocolate, whether they're going to kind of an orange color or whatever, the heat starts changing. And once they get kind of a veining to them, a little tan veins, I call it veining, that's whenever they get considerably warmer. And if you're buying a pepper and you're not wanting one that's real hot, well, first stay away from the ones that are changing colors. And the next thing would be, if you really want them hot, look for the ones that's starting to vein and that's changing colors. If they're green and they start to vein, I see that a lot with jalapenos, then that's a good sign that that's going to be a hot one. I was taught this a long time ago by a Hispanic lady who worked with her husband, and I was saying that I can't ever find a pepper. They're either, I'll get one that's too hot, or something like that, and I always associated color. Now, some peppers, they might change peppers, but if they're sweet peppers, they're not going to get hot. They're going to change colors, and they'll get sweeter. So I tell people, if you're looking for a good sweet pepper, sweet bell or something like that, maybe banana pepper, when they start to get away from that green and start changing, you can guarantee you're going to have a much sweeter pepper. And that's a lot of your bell peppers, your green ones, now they'll turn red. There's just certain varieties that turn red a lot faster. And so when you're buying a red one or something, it'll change quicker than some of the others. But like your California Wonder, which is a common bell pepper that a lot of people plant, and they all pick them green, but don't think they've got to be green, because you can leave them there a while longer, and they'll start to turn red, start to get sweeter. Now, some of these rows are 3 foot wide. Actually, I think this one over here is 4 foot wide. And in these ghost peppers, now they're starting to produce again. Some of them are really, really small peppers there, and then some are noticeable that I can see, but none of them are red because it got so hot, and they shut down. They wouldn't set their blooms. I know bees were probably not hitting them quite as much because the lack of water in it. They start getting the pollen's dry, so they don't mess with them. But they're starting to set little peppers on here again. And that's another thing I want to say. If you're a home gardener, when your peppers stop producing, don't pull them out. No, don't pull them out, because it won't be long they'll start again. Same thing with these peppers right here. These are yellow scorpions. They're starting to turn. They're starting to put more on. They're getting crazy. They could be probably tied up. I'm going to have a hard time getting through here, and I'll minimize. And the same thing with my Sugar Rush. Last year they didn't do too good. They must like this place down here better. So they'll probably get here more often. But these, I was down to where I get about a less than a quarter of a bushel. That's a half bushel basket, and it's almost full. And I've only went down one side of these. But back to my rant, I kind of got sidetracked. If you can't say something positive, please just go somewhere else, because not very many people are going to see your comment, because I will definitely remove it. And gardening is one of those things that nobody knows at all. Now look at that, I just kind of tore that whole plant up, which that happens sometimes with peppers. And yes, I do this YouTube channel, hopefully with the idea that hopefully it'll get monetized and I'll make a few dollars that'll help support this endeavor of giving information. If it don't, it don't. And I always enjoy people that do have positive comments that let me and others know how they're gardening and their successes and failures. And I'll continue. A lot of stuff that I do, it's first time, and I try to do it as a trial, or so that people know that it's a trial, so that it'll encourage them to take and do a few things that they normally wouldn't do. Step out of that comfort zone and get out there and plant something you've never planted, and stuff like that. Now we'll get back to peppers. They tend to want to call me the pepper guy at the farmer's market, because usually I have so many varieties. I'm going to cut down. There's a few that I know that do well. There's no sense in planting something that I have a lot of extras with, and you can never tell. Hatch green chilies, they normally sell pretty good at the market. A lot of people like them. A lot of people don't know about them. They don't know about the flavor, the heat range, or anything like that. But they make really good salsa, and I've actually come to a point that I prefer them, the flavor, a little bit more than jalapenos. Most people are familiar with the jalapeno flavor. A lot of them are scared of peppers, like say, whenever they get hot. Now that red one looked pretty good, but if it's not firm, it's got to be firm. Then we don't want to take it to market. It's like I say, it's all about quality. Harvesting these, a lot of times it's not about size. Right now, some of them are a little bigger. Before, we were lucky if we could get a pepper this big, because the heat would start turning them red. We've still got a few in here that's small like that. You can see this small pepper is turning red. It's actually got veining, so it tells you that it's been there a while and it's hot. It's good and firm, so it'd be a great spicy pepper. But like I say, the size is not what you harvest by. You have to kind of learn about gardening and harvesting to figure what's best to harvest. And it's always a learning process for me. In fact, with everything, because things change. Sometimes I'll plant something and it doesn't do well at all, and it's something that I planted for 20 years or more. because that's just the way sometimes uh, things work. I don't know if it's pests that maybe got in the ground, whether it's a different year. Sometimes my big thing this year to learn was more water is not necessarily better when it's hot. A lot of you probably learned that on your own. And a lot of you didn't know about the little bit about peppers that I just give you too. But it's always good to learn, and it's always good to hear from the people that watch the videos, because a lot of times that gives me encouragement to grow something else. Now you see this, some kind of bugs come eat on here. I don't know if grasshopper or what. I usually don't market those. I mean, it's just not appealing. It's edible, and I would eat it, except for the fact of, as you can see, I've got quite a few peppers right there already. This part of your problem. A lot of times it could be you don't have pollinators. Now, on peppers, that's one good thing about peppers, is that if you have a lack of pollinators, you can still have a crop, because peppers have a what they call a perfect flower, and that means it can self-pollinate. A little wind, a little shaking the plant when you come out and harvest, anything like that, can help it out. And even when it's dry, going out here and picking and moving these plants can do a lot to get it to growing. Now you don't see a lot of blooms on this plant, but it's because it bloomed just a little while ago, and now it's got all kinds of little fruit sitting on there. Now this one here is blooming, but you can see how yellow this is. And I could say it could be a nitrogen deficiency or something. It could be that the plant is just getting through it, finishing up its life cycle. So it's won't be long. We'll be cutting it out, which we have some spots where we cut them out. And one thing I was going to mention is when you plant peppers, you can't never tell. Maybe that's a double negative. You can't tell when or how many peppers it's going to produce. Like say my Sugar Rush last year, they didn't produce hardly at all, and it was because of possibly the weather, possibly where I had them. It could have been anything. But so this year I planted the same amount of plants, and I have way more peppers than I could ever use. So a lot of them get composted. A lot of them get, after we get finished with the market, we take and we dehydrate a lot of our peppers. Now, I always say don't throw your old peppers in your row. Now we throw them down. You can see how this one's red. This is still solid. If I was going to use a pepper for, say, a salsa or maybe one of my green drinks, I could use this. It's good, but to carry it to market, it's just, you know, it's hard to say that anybody, it wouldn't be appealing. You know, they see it cracking, it wouldn't be appealing to them, so that it might as well just go in the row. But what we do is we come back through this row and we'll sweep up all these peppers and compost them. Now we're gonna leave those there, and we're gonna walk up to our some of our sweet peppers. And don't want to take too long. I need to harvest some others, but on these sweet peppers. Now these have been pretty rough looking, and this is white flies, and I'm going to say this is leaf curl is a result of that. But you can see this pepper isn't very big, and it started getting a bad spot on it. A lot of times, and you can see, well, it's not white flies flying, but the white flies are around. But a lot of times what happens is maybe it gets a little sunspot or something, maybe a bug gets it or whatever, and it'll spoil it. Now if you're gardening, and we've been picking them about this big. Now these peppers should be about probably 4 to 8 times as big as this pepper. That's the variety. It's Emerald Giant. But being it's still warm, they won't get that big. What they'll do is, and you can see, this is one, it could have been picked last week. We'll take it this week. And a lot of people that know, they'll buy this because they know this pepper is going to be sweeter. And depending on what I'm doing with it, if I'm going to cook with some, I'll take and pick it. But what I do is, when I come through here, all these little peppers that are starting to change colors, that's little bitty, I'll pull these off. Because what's happened, either the sun has got to them or something's got to them. Now occasionally I'll take some like these, and I'll take a dozen or so, and I'll blend them into my drink. But most of these are going to be small. But like I say, sweet peppers. Now if you leave your banana peppers go, and we hadn't been picking off this plant because it's the real little, it got hot. Now we could pick these off, but you see it's loaded up. But this plant has always gave little ones. There's occasional bigger one, but most of them's little. But you see how they change colors. Now, most people pick banana peppers when they're yellow like this. But if you take and wait till they turn orange, you'd be surprised how much sweeter they are. But anyway, I guess enough rambling on peppers. I hope you found a little bit of knowledge, and I thank you for watching it to the end. And of course, if you want to see more information, like I say, this is Gardening Simplified is where we simplify it. And don't be afraid. You can watch. I'm having a lot of failures, a lot of successes. And you can learn along with me what not to do. But anyway, if you want to see more, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all, give it a big thumbs up, and of course, share this video. It helps my channel. Happy gardening.